This is the Rays POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Tampa Bay Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Tampa Bay Rays POSTCAST, your spot for instant Rays reaction every single game. My name is Jonathan Shields. You can follow me on Twitter at Johnny10Shields. And an incredibly frustrating loss for the Rays today. The Rays have now lost back-to-back games in 3 straight for the first time since May 9th. And you could really argue that the Rays should have won both these games in the series against the Athletics. So it's just a really, really tough 2 games for the Rays. Obviously, they lose in extras, a game where the Rays led 2-0 and then tie it back at 3 after the Athletics take the lead. And a game where the pitching, I think, did more than enough for the Rays to win. And the offense just missed a lot of opportunities, especially in the later innings. We're going to talk about those, as well as a huge strikeout day for the Rays. We're talking about the Rays are officially in a rut. And then we're going to look ahead to see how the Rays absolutely need to salvage the last game of this series. But first, we need to talk about just how frustrating of a loss this was.
This is what you'll be talking about.
So I'm trying to figure out a way to word this. So it's incredibly encouraging the start that the Rays had, because you get a Morel home run and then you get a Brandon Lowe left-on-left home run. And those 2 things are obviously big because of how Morel has struggled and then how Brandon Lowe has struggled against left-handers. He's been fantastic against right-handers. He's struggled mightily against lefties this year. And he was able to hit a home run, and Morel's was absolutely just crushed. So it's 2-0. And at that point, the Rays just needed to put the hammer down. And I'm not saying they need to shut out the Athletics or anything, but it's a game where the Rays should win. And then obviously that 4th inning comes, and all of a sudden all that progress is just out the wayside. And it was good for Boz to even get out of that, because after Muncy hit a home run, it was 2nd and 3rd with 2 outs, and he was able to get out of it. But for the most part, I was really impressed with how Boz pitched, but we'll get to that later. But in the 9th for the Rays, I thought was their best chance to win it. The 8th and 9th, but in the 8th, the Rays got 1st and 2nd, 1 out, and they had a tough lefty in, Aranda flat out, Josh Lowe struck out, and then Pete Fairbanks, really good by him and Clevenger, but Clevenger was good yesterday. But Fairbanks, after giving up the runs yesterday, to come back and he was pretty dominant in his outing today. And then you get to the 9th, and Cabby immediately gets a hit. And Dice comes in, and then Cabby steals 2nd, which I would let him do 100 times 100. And it was a great play by the guy covering the base. And Langeliers got out fast enough to get him out. And then Simpson ended up singling after Dice grounds out. Yandy gets walked. And then Taylor Walls, who can't really say anything because he's been really good lately, and he got a hit the at-bat before, but he couldn't come through there. So I thought that was the best chance for the Rays to win. But in the 9th coming, I knew when Mason Montgomery came in that the Rays weren't going to get a shutdown in there. And it's tough, regardless whoever comes in, to hold that runner on 2nd. But the reason why I extra don't like Montgomery in those situations is specifically in the top of the 11th, or top of the 10th, is because how wild he is with the strike zone. And we saw it again today. I mean, he had multiple times, 2 separate times, to put away the hitter with 2 outs, and he couldn't. And I listened to the radio call, and it was the first time where it was either 1 or 2 outs, but it was 2 outs, or 1 out, runner on 3rd. And he had the opportunity. He just blew the fastball past the guy. And for some reason, he goes back to the slider for a ball. And it makes no sense after you blow 98 past a guy who struggles getting to it in the top of it, to getting velocity in the top of the zone, to throw the slider. But I don't think he trusted to get the fastball to the top of the zone. And that's where we get to our turning point of this game.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
So once again, with 2 strikes, he's just able to do enough to punch it into the Wines guy comes in, who was with Baltimore for a long time. And he does just enough to punch it into the outfield to have the Athletics take the lead. And then when Mason Miller comes in, I mean, what much can you do? The guy throws 104 with a wipeout slider. But even then, the Rays have 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs for Josh Lowe. And you just never felt confident, especially after they intentionally walked Jonathan Aranda. Yeah, I did not feel comfortable with Brandon Lowe hitting against him. I did not feel comfortable with Josh Lowe hitting against him. And, when you listen to the radio call and after he throws the back-to-back sliders to Brandon Lowe, okay, fastball's coming, high heat's coming. And I'm not going to act like I can go up there and hit 103 because obviously I cannot, and 99.9% of people cannot. It's tough, and it makes it even more tough because you have an opportunity to get back to a half game with the Yankees. The Blue Jays are tied with the Rays in the standings, and the Rays have been so good at coming back from losses. As you can tell, it's the first time they've lost 3 in a row since May, the early May, since they got swept by the Phillies. That's how good that they've been. So frustrating is the correct word to say the least. And I put here that the Rays are in a rut. I categorize it as a rut because it seems like they aren't getting the breaks. So, for example, the Rays' expected batting average in this game was 239. The Athletics was 165. It was an even bigger disparity in the Rays' favor yesterday. And the Rays are so good at capitalizing on other teams' mistakes. And credit to the Athletics, they really have not made any mistakes in these 2 games. And for a Rays team that thrives on that, it should just be there and be able to beat you straight up, which they still should do against the Athletics team. To have your best 4 of your 5 best hitters come up with a run on second and you don't score, I think regardless of who the pitcher is you're going to look back at that and immediately go like that's a moment we got to capitalize on. But if you still look, larger pitcher, you need tomorrow's game is an absolute must win because you leave for 10 on the road to end the first half, and it's not easy on the road. I mean, you're going to Minnesota, who he's a few games under 500, but you're going to face Joe Ryan one of those games. And after that, you go to Detroit. You somehow, again, avoid facing Skubal. But Detroit's the best team in the American League. How often, are you going to take 2 out of 3 again from them? And you go to Boston for 4. And Boston might be scuffling a little bit, but you're going to face Garrett Crochet, their best pitcher, in a 4-game series. So tomorrow is an absolute must-win for the Rays to get back on track. Just missed opportunities, especially in the last 3 innings for the Rays. The game should have never been extras, in my opinion. And we're going to talk about the pitching after we come back from the break. But these were 2 games where I didn't feel like the Rays lost the games by any means, but didn't go out and grab it, if that makes sense. They didn't go out and grab the game, right? The game was just there for the taking, and it went in the Athletics way. And that's baseball, but the Rays have lost 3 in a row, 4 or 5. Tomorrow is a massive, massive, massive game for the Rays. And we're going to talk about that game tomorrow, including who the pitching matchup is going to be. And we're going to talk about the huge strikeout day for Rays pitching right after this. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're building wealth. And my favorite part is there's a specific category with it can take out things like takeout food subscriptions that you don't really need, and you can utilize that money in other places. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. This episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game with your friends while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. And I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, but the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions. That's always fun to bet. I mean, you guys can get a different baseball promotion every day. I'm sure the U.S. has a semifinal game, I believe, in the Gold Cup coming up. They'll have promotions for that as well. So they have a bunch of different ways to partake. And if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. So if you guys are in the live, make sure to leave a comment. We will get to it momentarily after we talk about how good this pitching staff was. And Shane Boss, again, man, 11 strikeouts. He's gotten a cutter, and it might have saving his season in the sense of him being a starter moving forward. I mean, he has been just scary good the last few games as he goes 7 innings, 3 earned, only 1 walk, which is so key for him. 11 strikeouts on just 90 pitches. And yes, you would like to see him not to give up the 2-run home run. But, I always say if you can get a quality start from your pitcher, you should win that game. If your pitcher goes 6 innings, 3 runs or less, they put you in a position to win that game. Shane Baz absolutely put the Rays in position to win that game. His ERA is going to be down right around 3, and the ERA was sub 3.5 in June. First start of July is only going to pick up that positive momentum. 20 swings and misses for Shane Baz. I mean, that is just silly stuff. The second best in the game was Jeffrey Springs with 8, to kind of put it into perspective. I mean, I'm super, super impressed with Shane Baz. I always said I think Shane Baz's stuff is the best in the staff. I think the way his throwing motion is, just the way that he can get up to velocity, control the fastball velocity, go anywhere from 94 to 99 with it. The knuckle curve is ridiculous. That cutter has completely revitalized this season. I mean, just he has been so, so, so good for the Rays. But let's talk about I'll quickly touch on the bullpen because I do want to give P. Fairbanks his flowers. Tough game from yesterday. Him and Clevenger both were fantastic. But, again, it stretches you even more thin tomorrow. A guy I would like to see in the 9th instead of Montgomery was Eric Orsi. This guy trusts just a little bit more there to be in the zone. But Eric Orsi, he struggled a little bit, but that's just my personal preference. But you're going to be relying on guys like Orsi. I don't even know if you said it was a available pitch after he just went 2 innings the day before. But, guys like that. And Rays are going to be without their 2 best relievers, 3 if you count, Rodriguez, who's still on the IL. But the Rays absolutely need a great start from their starting pitching, and that starts with the starting pitcher matchup that we'll get into as we'll preview the game tomorrow. So it's a noon game, as it would be Ryan Pepio. And talk about a guy that needs a bounce back. Ryan Pepio needs a bounce back in a desperate way after having his worst outing of the season last time out, as he only won an inning in a third, 5 hits, 4 runs, just 1 strikeout, 2 walks to the Orioles. It was a nightmare start for Pep. But I fully believe that he's going to bounce back. And the Rays will be facing Mitch Spence, who's 2-3 on the year with a 3.8 ERA, 55 strikeouts. In his last few games has been a little bit up and down. So he went in the middle of June, 2 straight games, only giving up 1 run. But his last 2 starts, he's given up 6 runs. So he's a guy that has not pitched past 5 innings. In fact, he started the year as a reliever, as he has only made – this would be a 6th start tomorrow. He actually has a save on the year just to show him, he was really a reliever for the first part. But, again, a guy that the Rays should be able to hit off. The Rays are better against righties, and I suspect the Rays to come out after these last 2 games and come out with a fire and win tomorrow, and I think they win big tomorrow. And I think Pep is going to give a quality start. I think this offense is going to score at least 4 runs. And very rarely do I kind of make a prediction on the game, but I truly believe the Rays are going to bounce back and get a big-time win tomorrow. But let's get to the comments as we go to Jack's takes. Wasted opportunities and playing down to sub-500 opponents. So, yeah, look, I honestly think that Athletics are better than the record shows, but, again, I don't think that, neither team handed this game away. Like I said, the game was there for the taking. The Rays didn't take it. The Athletics have done a fantastic job limiting their mistakes. And I think that's part of the reason why, although the Rays have statistically outplayed them, according to the Baseball Savant, but they still have not been able to scratch out a win. But, man, it's tough to lose 2 out of 3 to an Athletics team at home after you look at the schedule that you went through and how brutal some of these teams were. You were winning series against them, and how brutal this road trip is going to be, and how you somehow need to try to scratch out 5-5 or 6-4 on this road trip. But we'll go to Gary. He says, good news, the Rays are only a game and a half outside of first. And bad news is it's been a rough stretch, 4 or 5 losses, all-star snubs. MLB wanted to move posting games at Tampa. Yeah, a lot of those things the Rays can't control, so we're not going to get into a little bit. But, it's obviously frustrating that the Rays couldn't take advantage, especially with the Yankees loss yesterday and today. And now the Blue Jays are tied for second. But, if you look at the wild card, the Rays are still in a good spot there. And I told you guys, even when the Rays were going really well, the last 30 or so games, it's silly to do standings watch every game, as the Rays are actually, I misspoke, they're not tied. They're a half game behind the Blue Jays now. The Blue Jays, if they beat the Yankees tomorrow, will be tied for first in the American League East. But the Rays are 4 games up on a wild card. So, the Angels are actually the closest game to the Mariners. So the Rays are 2 up on the Mariners for that second wild card. And then the Angels, shout out to the Angels, man, Anaheim, haven't made the playoffs only one time in the whole Trout era, are right there. But yeah, it is tough. As Gary as I asked, what time is it where I am? It is 5:28 a.m. where I am right now. But the grind never stops. As we go to Gary again, he says, how do you feel about the extra innings ghost reels? Is still necessary? Is it baseball? Shout out to hockey. Glad they don't use them in the postseason. And I think the greatest thing you said is glad they don't use them in the postseason. The Rays, the biggest problem with baseball and why they added the pitch clock was the length of games was too long. And you don't need an 18-inning regular season game. So I'm actually a fan of the ghost runner. We don't need games going 13, 14, 15 innings. So it gets the game down better. It breaks out new strategy like we saw the Athletics bunt because they trust their closer so much with only one run, and they got the guy to third. But, I'm a fan of it just because it gets the games done quicker. Again, we don't need 18-inning regular season games. We go to Dante Hamilton. He said, I heard on foul territory a potential trade of Taj Bradley and an outfielder for Rockies catcher Hunter Goodman. I don't think the Rays need a catcher right now. They have Theis and Jansen. I think it's more than good enough. If you're going to trade Taj Bradley, I would hope that you get more. I'm telling you, a lot of teams would take a swing on Taj Bradley. As Alexander brings up just a fantastic point. He said the Rays are 25-26, first teams below 500. Simply not good enough. Not good enough. And let's hope they get back to 26-26 starting tomorrow. As we go to Gary says, thought we should give some props to Jake Mangum. His June stats: 1 home run, 26 RBIs, 314 average. And I'm a little bit surprised he didn't hit for Taylor Walls in that spot. But Taylor Walls has also been really good recently. So it is what it is. So if we go to It's Cat, he says, I feel like the A's are better than the record. Same with the Orioles. The A's lineup is ridiculously underrated, the best closer in the league. A lot of things you said there is true. I do think the A's are better than the record, but their record now is 36-52, so they're better than that. But it's not like they're a playoff team. Maybe they're closer to like 5 games under 500, but it's still a team that the Rays should win. But so I completely agree with you that same with the Orioles, better than the record shows. As we go, Michael Townley says, "Hi, Sunkin, can't get here faster enough." As we go to Michael again, he says Shane threw a bullpen successfully. I need him too. Yeah, I just massive for him to get good news, and I'm really happy for Shane. The person for his mental to get that good news, man. I mean, this guy that loves the moment, loves pitching, loves the competitive spirit, and that's been taken away from him for almost 2 years now. So ridiculous. As we have Brady Duran who says DFA Caminero, Junior Caminero is 21 years old and is on pace to hit almost over 40 home runs. And is one of the best young players that the Rays have ever had. So I can guarantee you Junior Caminero would never be DFA'd while he is a member of the Rays, at least within the next, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have a crystal ball, but I can personally guarantee the Rays Junior Caminero will not be in AAA for a single second this year unless he's rehabbing an injury. But we're going to start to wrap it up here. So you guys get your comments in. As Michael Townley again, what do you do? Send down Mead for Kim? I don't know. I mean, that's what I would do. And I get what Curtis Mead brings you against left-handed pitching, but you're not going to send down Cabby. He's too versatile. He's the best. Even though he got caught twice today on the base pass, he leads American League steals. Taylor Walls is the best defensive shortstop in baseball. Neither of those guys are getting sent down. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But we're going to wrap it up here. Again, it's a frustrating loss for the Rays, but I truly think that they're going to bounce back in a big way tomorrow. And again, a quick turnaround. Game's at noon tomorrow. So, earlier postcast. Hope all you guys will be able to make it. So, again, I appreciate every single one of you guys for joining live, and I will see you guys tomorrow afternoon.